Shabbat Shalom from Temple Concord. My desk has lots of stuff on it, big piles of papers and mail and things I need to go through. Some would say it's not the cleanest desk in the world, but that's all right. There's also a Torah on my desk and lots of pictures. The pictures are set up so that I can look at them when I'm sitting here. And frankly, they're pictures of my family. They're pictures of my children, of my parents. Look on the walls, there's a picture of my children and my siblings. And all around my office, I have these pictures set up for a particular reason. When I'm sitting in my study, I want to be reminded regularly of the holiness of others. There's actually a sign above my door that says, Da lifnei mi ata omed, know before whom you stand. For me, it's a constant reminder. When I walk out of my study and encounter anybody, I need to be reminded of who it is that I'm standing in front of. And when somebody walks in, I want to be able, as I see that face come through the doorway, to also see that sign that says, remember who is standing before you. For me, those signs and these pictures serve the same purpose. It's to remind me of the holiness of the individual. Each of us contains sanctity and holiness that is God-given. We realize that holiness in thousands of different ways. Some of us do it physically, some of us do it through words or music. Lots of different ways of showing our holiness. The Torah portion this Shabbat has this wonderful line, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. And while we can all accept the idea of God being holy, accepting ourselves as holy is a little trickier. And that's precisely why I keep the pictures of my family and that sign so close to me. I need that constant reminder. Day-to-day life can sort of bog you down once in a while, and you forget the holiness that you're surrounded by. At least I do. And so for me, when I look at the smiling faces of my children or my parents or my siblings, when I see my wife's face shining back at me and smiling, when I see somebody coming into my study and remember that they are a holy person, it forces me to pull out of whatever administrivia I'm dealing with, whatever detail I'm doing, and recognize the sanctity of the person. And I think that's what the Torah portion is driving at in terms of seeing the holiness in ourselves and in each other. We need to recognize that each of us has a holiness, a uniqueness, a specialness that needs to be nurtured and it needs to be celebrated. That's what our Torah portion is calling us to do when it says, you shall be holy. To be holy means to honor ourselves, to honor each other, and to look for and find that spark of divinity that exists in every one of us. I hope your Shabbat is filled with people surrounding you with smiles and laughter and joy. And as you sit at the Shabbat table, whether that table is at a restaurant or it's the table of Torah study here or it's in services, that you'll look around the room and see the holiness that exists in each of the people you encounter. And even more, I hope you'll spend a little time this Shabbat looking at the mirror and recognizing the holiness that resides in your own self and your own soul. Shabbat services Friday night will be at 7:30. This is the first Shabbat in the month of May, so it's a later service. Saturday morning services will be at 11. Our third graders will be joining us, and we have our Mitzvah Palooza Shabbaton afterwards. So we're doing projects to make the world better. We have, of course, text study at 9 and Torah study at 10 on Shabbat morning. On Sunday morning, religious school is in session, Brotherhood is meeting, Sisterhood is meeting. So there will be a lot going on, a lot of activity at the temple Sunday morning. And next week, many of our classes continue. Talmud on Tuesday at 12:30. Wednesday evening, our Death and Dying series will actually conclude on the 10th. So I invite you to join us for the last session. You don't need to have attended the earlier sessions, but it will give us a chance to wrap up and to talk about what we've learned this year in terms of Jewish understandings of death and dying and funeral practices and so forth. For now, I wish you a Shabbat of holiness. More than that, I wish for you that the holiness carries beyond Shabbat. Because when you can look out into the eyes of another person, whether they're taller or shorter or thinner or fatter or older or younger or purple or green or blue polka dots, it doesn't matter. When you can look out to another person and see holiness, then our world gets a little bit better. And Lord knows, we all need to do our part to make our world more whole. Shabbat Shalom for now. Look forward to seeing you at the temple.